morning everybody and welcome again to our course on Introduction to Mechanical Micromachining. Today we are going to discuss about micro tools. We have seen about the machines also, and we have also seen about the different type of mechanism by which material is getting removed in micromachining part. We have also seen that there are different type of errors in the geometries, so that we can avoid those things, and we have to understand that what are the different geometrical error and how they will affect the machining performance. But today's our topic is on micro tools. That we have seen that there are different type of end mill cutters and normal conventional turning operation tools are available, single point cutting tools. But in micro domain those size are very small. So if you see these particular two tools, that this is one is the conventional cutting tool whichever we are using in end mill cutter, and this one is the micron size, that is the diameter is 500 micron. If you see this geometry, it is a 4 fluid cutter and here also it is a 4 fluid. So, geometric point of view both are same, but size is the very different. So, here it is a 10 millimeter size and here it is a 0.5 millimeter. Now, question is that first thing that how we can make this type of tools. So, we will discuss some of the processes which are used for fabrication of these particular tools, and then we will discuss about the different type of issues which we have to address and we have to take care during machining by using this type of cutting tool. So, today we are discussing about micro tools. So, let us see that what are the ways we can address this part. So, first thing is that the size of the micro tool. So, if you see this particular thing, that whatever features we want to create, everything depends on the what is the minimum size we are using for cutting of that particular feature. So, smaller the micro tools or smaller the cutting tool, smaller the features we can create out of it. And then again problem is the accuracy, that we know that if the size of the cutting tool is very small, then it is very difficult to make it very accurate. So, there are some issues related to the accuracy of the features also. Now, this is the one figure is shown. So, here the shank diameter is 4 millimeter and this is the end mill cutter, and this one is the magnified view of that cutting zone. So, here you can see this total diameter, cutting diameter is the 100 micron is the diameter, and still you can see that there are fluids available and you can get the almost all the features which is available in our conventional cutting tool. So, what is important? The mechanical stability, that is the vibration and forces of the micro tool is crucial for product accuracy, that is mostly we are talking about the tolerance and longevity of the tools. Because we know that when we are talking about the micro tool of a 100 micron diameter and we get a vibration around 10 micron or 20 micron. So, it is a 10 times of the 10% of the diameter of the cutting tool, and forces are also sometimes very high when you talk about the dimension at the micro level. So, because of the vibration and forces, what happens that many times you may get the features, but those features are not accurately made or the tolerance is out of the desired level, or sometimes directly you will get the broken tool. So, these are the two different issues which we have to address during the fabrication of the cutting tool. So, what are the different tool variables? The tool variables are the first is the material, because we have a large amount of materials available for making cutting tools, and what type of geometries we can make, because here problem is that as you go smaller and smaller, the getting cutting fluids and everything, it is very difficult, because we should have tool also, so that we can get this type of features made, but that is very difficult when you cross a particular domain. Mostly it is a 50 micron or something. Then cutting edge radius, because we have discussed many things about this thing when you are talking about the uncut chip thickness and the cutting edge radius comparison, and we have seen that if you do not scale this uncut chip thickness and the cutting edge radius, you may come across different type of mechanism, that is rubbing, and then it is elastic recovery, and then the mixture of two different things and cutting also. And there are different type of coatings available, because what happens that when you operate this particular you use this particular cutting tool without any coating, at that time you have to sacrifice the life, because coating always increase the life and it will make sure that the cutting edge remains sharper for a longer time, as well as sometimes it will also help to evacuate the cutting chips which are following these particular fluids, and that is why coating is one of the important parameters or variables for the cutting tools. So, cutting tool design influenced many things, that is dimensional accuracy, because now if you have different geometry, you will get a different type of geometry or the accuracy of the features. surface quality, burr formation, tool life. So, all these things depends on these parameters. What is the material you are using, what is the geometry, what is the cutting edge radius, and what is the coating you are using. So, by a proper combination of these particular pair variables, what you will get, you may get the higher dimensional accuracy, very high surface finish, less burr formation, and enhanced tool life. So, we have to finalize that which way we can get this thing, and many times what happens that this some of these parameters are very contradictory, because now we know that sharper is the cutting edge radius, we can easily remove the material and we can go down and down in terms of uncut chip thickness. But if you make more and more sharp, what is going to happen, that the material available for cutting is very less, and it will directly affect the coating, and then the geometry also very difficult to create when it is a sharp features. So, in that way we have to come to a compromise situation in such a way that we can get maximum output or maximum benefit of these influences. And another thing is, it is difficult to detect damage to cutting edges and even broken tool shafts. So, this is bound to happen, because we know the 100 micron diameter is difficult to even see also by naked eye. So, problem is that even the tool is not able to detect, then it is very much possible that you cannot see anything about the cutting edges. So, every time the microscope and some type of vision systems are important to use during machining and after machining, so that you can get the actual status of the cutting tool. So, what are the different important areas which need to explore in the micro tooling? First thing is the fabrication methods. We will discuss some of the fabrication methods, but we can also try to find some alternative ways, so that we can get the required things done in a cheaper way and more efficient way. Second thing is optimization of geometric and coating properties of micro tool in order to improve tool life and the process accuracy. Why this is important here? Because we will see that there are different type of geometries available. So, many times what happens, that the tools which we are fabricating, it is not exactly the replica of the normal conventional cutting tools which we are using, because conventional cutting tools are mostly very large in diameter. So, you can easily get different type of fluid features and different type of angles, but as you go down and down, getting those features are very difficult. So, we will see very primitive shape, that is something like a D type of tool and square type, rectangle type, and circular type tool also without any type of fluid. So, we will say that why it is difficult to get those features, because there is a problem with the processes available to make those type of features. Coating property is important, which type of coating you are using and what type of material you are using for coating those materials. So, that is also issue with the part. Tool holding and balancing as well as the micro tool setting devices. Now, holding is another issue, because we know that there is a run out, the tool run out plays very important role in the micro machining domain, because even a small amount of run out will quickly break your cutting tool even without doing any machining operation also at the start itself. Balancing is important, because we have to make sure that it is uniformly balanced on both the sides, that is directly affected by the tool run out. And the micro tool setting devices. Then once you fit the tool inside, then you have to do X, Y and Z00 setup. So, those things are also very important, because we have to find where is the work 0, so that you can start machining from the Z equal to 0 dimension. Then the micro tool characteristics, machinability in particular, because we will see that there are different tools for a specific material, because you cannot use same material, same micro tool material for all the different type of workpiece material. Because if you go with the tungsten HSS, that is high speed steel, then they are very tough, but it does not have so much of hardness. So, we generally go with the tungsten carbide. Diamond is the hardest, but diamond has a problem with machining of a ferrous materials, because there is a liberation of the carbon and it will quickly damage because of the part. So, mostly diamond is used for the non ferrous materials. Tool condition monitoring during process, because this is very important, because we will see that sometimes what happens, that when you start machining operation, at that time the tool is in good condition, but just after 1 or 2 minutes tool is broken, but still you continue, because you do not have any monitoring system there. So, to avoid this thing happen, that it is better to put some monitoring devices, mostly it is a force dynamometer or some type of other accelerometers, by which you can get some type of indirect signals, and you can see that there is always a contact between the tool and the workpiece. So, if the tool is broken, then you will not get that thing in contact with the workpiece, and you will not get the signal in terms of force or any other type of signature. So, at that time you can understand the tool is broken or there is no contact. So, actually you monitoring of the cutting tool condition is very important, because you can save lot of time without spending so much time in the regulating or the finding some problem at the later stage. So, what are the required property of a tool? So, tool must allow for good chip formation removal. Now, this good chip formation, it directly depends on the cutting edge radius, because we know that this particular thing is directly affected by the what is the cutting edge radius you have, right. Cutting edge radius versus uncut chip thickness. We have discussed lot of thing about these two parameters. So, we are not going to do that thing again, but this is very important, because a good chip formation is very important to make sure that you are efficiently removing the material, and you do not need to give a second pass for the same location. And once you get the chip formation, then its removal is also important, because what happens that when you do a cutting by micro tool, you do not have so much space for evacuating this type of chips. So, flute size is very small. So, you have to again compromise with the features or the geometry of the cutting tool. Have a sharp cutting edge. At that time, if it is a sharp, then you will get the low cutting force and small minimum uncut chip thickness you can select for that, because sharper the things, because we know that if it is a 5 micron of cutting edge, then you can get anything any value more than 5 micron for the uncut chip thickness, and that way you can reduce the cutting force also. And have a flange geometry which prohibit contact to the workpiece at the side walls, because what happens that many times what happens that you do one machining operation, and now consider that this is the cutting tool and its bottom is the flat bottom. So, what happens that these particular things will create a problem here, because what happens that you will end up with the cutting at the bottom surface also and as well as side surface also. So, in that case it is better to go with some type of cutting tool, something like this, that it has very small amount of edge here, but it will not touch at the side surface at these two locations. So, at that time you have to actually devise some different geometries in such a way that you can avoid the contact of the workpiece, because once the machining is over, then it is better that we should not actually provide some contact with the cutting tool, otherwise it will again generate some additional mark, and then you have to apply some type of deburring operation or the cleaning operation. So, be manufactured by a robust and the fast process in order to be economically feasible, because again we have to see that if you spend more and more time and cost in the fabrication of the cutting tool, then the cost of each and every cutting tool will be very high. So, we have to also make sure that it is economically feasible for different manufacturers, so that we can easily buy this particular cutting tool and do some type of micro machining operations. So, what are the different processes are available? Here we have, I am showing you the few only, but there are very customized processes also available, but these are mostly used. So, grinding is the obviously the first process which people mostly use for that. So, it is a high precision grinding process. High precision, that means the accuracy and the feedback resolution is very high in this. People also use the ultrasonic vibration to reduce the cutting forces, and there are diamond disc available with a diamond particles, so at a nanometer level, and then you can do some type of feature cutting on the different type of cutting tools. Then electro discharge machining, because this is widely used, because it is a non-contact type of thing, because there is no contact between the cutting tool and the workpiece. Mostly material is removed by the evaporation and the melting and evaporation. So, in this case it is the advantage that you will mostly get the force free machining. So, forces will not act onto the surface. So, you will get the very fine features from this electric discharge machine. So, there is another variant of this, that is called wire electric discharge machining, where wire is used in place of a cutting tool, and there is also called the wire electro discharge grinding operation, because grinding is performed by the wire. So, that is why it is written as a wire electro discharge grinding operation. Focused ion beam is widely used because it has a, you can go with a few nanometer of diameter of the beam. So, the accuracy and the precision of that machining or the fabrication of cutting tool is very very high in this particular case, and you can get very very fine features onto the side different diameters. Laser beam machining is also used for different making of different cutting tools, and there is one process called electrolytic in process dressing. So, it is similar to grinding process, but what we are doing here, that we are doing in process dressing into the grinding operation. So, that objective is to make sure that the projection of the abrasive particles or the protrusion of the abrasive particles remains always same without spending any additional time or the off time. So, these are some of the processes which are routinely used for fabrication of the cutting tools. So, let us discuss one by one. So, this is first thing is the high precision grinding. So, this is the setup. Now, if you see, this is the pre-grinding setup. So, this is the bigger size of wheel, so where the diameter or the particle size what we are using here, this diamond particle size is very large, because initially what happens that we need to remove more amount of material out of it. So, initially you do not do a fine grinding operation. So, first part is the shaping of the particular cutting tool, and once the shaping is over, then you transfer to the second part, that is a fine grinding wheel. Fine grinding wheel, why we are telling fine grinding wheel? So, because here the particles which we are using for this grinding wheel, it will be in sub-micron level or even finer than that. Then what additional thing is, the clamping device is this one. So, this is a spindle itself. So, you do not need to sometimes remove the tool also. So, directly mount this thing to the machining center, so that you can avoid the some of the errors or some type of what we can say that placement errors, that is run out and everything when you have direct mounting onto the spindle itself. And this is the tool string which is with the tool, and rotational axis is given here. So, you rotate this particular tool, and then you have two grinding wheels, and this is the XY table, so that you can get the different features done onto the different side of the cutting tool. So, it is a 3-axis grinding tool, grinding machine. Why we call high precision? Because if you see, the resolution is 0.1 micron. So, you can give a movement with a 0.1 micron of resolution. Repeating position accuracy is 1 micron. Now, why it is important? Because sometimes what happens that first you move this thing to this pre-grinding, that means in a coarse grinding wheel machining. So, you do that thing here, and then again you have to maintain that position accuracy, because if you are not reaching the same position again after at the same location, then what will happen that you may be doing machining at a wrong position. So, within 1 micron we can get the position accuracy, and run out is lower than 0.65 micron. So, here that is also important, because here also it is in rotation, because if the grinding wheel or your tool, they have a run out consider 10 micron or something, then fabrication of the cutting tool itself is difficult. Then all the things, even if it is possible, then what is going to happen, that the run out will be reflected onto the geometry of the cutting tool, and once you do machining with this type of cutting tool, you may not get the required features or the required dimension onto the micro component. So, clamping device itself is mounted onto the spindle, providing the rotation around the A axis. So, this is what we have discussed, that you can actually reduce the run out problem when you directly mount this particular cutting tool onto the spindle, and the same spindle is used for machining at the later stage. So, what are the two stages? The first stage is the pre-grinding of the tungsten carbide by sintered diamond blade mounted on a ball bearing spindle, it is used. So, this is very rough machining, because here our objective is not to give a fine feature, but initially we shape in such a way that the next operation will be very easy. Then second step is the fine grinding using a thin diamond grinding bell with a grain size of a 1 micron mounted on a air bearing spindle. Now, you can see that there are two differences. One is the here what we are using, that 1 micron diamond particles we are using, where the particle size is very large here. Here what we are using a ball bearing spindle, when we have seen lot of things in the ball bearing and the air bearing things, that air bearing is much convenient or more recommended for the micro machining operations. So, here by using this thing what we are doing some type of fine feature fabrication on the cutting tool, so that you can get the required geometry. Now, coming to the helix angle, because we know that there are different things which are available. Helix angle is very important to get the chips and everything coming out of it. But what the things are there, that because when the cutting tool is less than 50 micron, so this is the micron not millimeter. Once it less than 15 in micron, then what happens, the zero rack angle is mostly required, because to improve the rigidity and to mitigate the limitation of the fabrication process. Because once you cross this particular domain, what is happening, the 50 micron, that if you want to give a helix angle, then what is happening, that you have to sacrifice the rigidity of the cutting tool, because we know the diameter itself is a 50 micron, and then you are giving on the top of that some type of helix angle. So, getting this helix angle itself is difficult, because we do not have so much of available processes which will do these particular things when you are crossing a 50 micron of diameter. Even if you use some type of costly processes, but what is the problem, that you can get this thing, that but the rigidity of the cutting tool will be very low in this particular case. So, when you use this particular cutting tool in the machining operation, either it will be worn completely or it will be broken within few cycles of operation. So, that is a big problem here. So, mostly when we find some cutting tool with a less than 50 micron diameter, then you will get a very primitive shapes. Mostly it is a square and triangle or some type of rectangle also. Right. So, this is the zero helix angle. Now, you can see that it does not have any type of angle. So, it is a purely a straight edge here. So, this is the D type of thing. So, you have, if it is rotating in this direction, then this will be the cutting edge, and if it rotates in opposite direction, then this will be the cutting edge. So, it has only single cutting edge. Without a flank helix angle, what happens, the material removal occurs at once along the entire cutting length. So, this is what is going to happen here. So, what is problem, that if this is happening, then in single rotation you are getting only at the one cutting length. So, higher stresses are areas are you will get a very high stress area at the different location, and we know that we are removing at the one location only. So, surface finish will be very poor in this case, and there will be burr formation, because if it is a one cutting edge only, the wear of that cutting edge will be very high, and within a one cycle or two cycle of operations, depending on the how much it is moving and what is the cutting velocity and the feed rate, you will get lot of burr formation, because it will not retain that sharpness for a longer time. And the increased tool wear, that is obvious, that whenever you are getting burr formation, mostly it is because of the blunt edge. So, that is the problem. So, it is better that wherever it is possible, you create the helix on the angle on that. So, this is the positive 30 degree helix angle. Now, you can see here that this particular edge will perform machining operation, this particular thing, and you have a sharp helix angle here. So, movement of this chip will be very finely tuned in this particular case, but still you have one only, but the sharpness will play important role, and the movement of the cutting material is very easy in this particular case. So, whenever you are working with a more than 50 micron, better to go with the helix angle, and if you have problem with the rigidity and the problem fabrication technique, then better to go with the 50 micron less without any type of helix angle. Yes, so these are the different type of shapes which are fabricated by that particular precision grinding machine, and you can see that this is the diameter is around 10 micron or something. So, here it is a 20 micron diameter, and this is the 10 micron diameter. And what is possible, now you can see that these are the two different materials which are machined by this part. So, here the diameter is 20 micron, material was the titanium alloy, and this is the polymer material, polymethyl methacrylate, and here a diameter was used 10 micron. And here if you see the 50,000 is the RPM, but if you see the diameter is large, so you will get the cutting velocity 3.14. So, if the diameter is half, but if you maintain that cutting RPM, but then what is happening, that your cutting velocity is half of that particular part, right. So, that way you can see the higher is the diameter, at a one particular RPM you will get the high cutting velocity, and that is very important, so that you can get the reasonable amount of material removal. Here depth of cut is 10 micron, here 7 micron, and feed rate per tooth is 0.1 micron, and here is a 0.2 micron. Because why we are giving a higher lower feed rate here, because it is a metallic component. So, if you go with very high thing, higher feed rate, then there is a chance of tool breakage or the tool bending. But here it is a polymer material, so material resistance will not be so much high, so that you can go with the higher feed rate. Then coming to the other grinding operation, that is called ultrasonic vibration. So, now what is advantage of doing this thing, that when you provide ultrasonic vibration, now you can see that there are two different setups here. So, this particular setup is used for fabrication of the end face of the workpiece. Workpiece, that means it is our tool. So, when you want to create some type of features here, then what you have to do, that you have to create vibration onto the this particular surface. So, this is the grinding wheel, and vibration is parallel to the axis of the grinding wheel. And once you complete this thing, then what you have to do, you have to reduce the diameter also. So, at that time you actually give the side face grinding, so that you can reduce the diameter. And once this thing is done, then the same tool you can use for different operations. Drilling you can use the milling also if you are making a square end tool, or if you are making a ball end tool, then you can do some type of curved machining also. So, once you provide this particular vibration, what is happening, that your wheel loading will be very less, and that is very advantageous here, because when you talk about the micron size of diamond grids, then you do not have so much of space also in between the surfaces. So, once you do not have loading, at that time the grinding force will be very low in this case, and you will not get the any breakage to the tool here, because we have to avoid this particular breakage of the tool during fabrication also, otherwise you will end up with the wrong geometry or the broken tool. Right. So, these are the features, this is the one of the ways it is fabricated. Now, what is happening here? So, these are the two different setup is given. So, here this is the rotation of the grinding wheel, and this is the rotation of the cutting tool. So, now what is happening here? So, cutting tool is here, and your grinding wheel actually rotating in this direction, right. So, it is moving in this way. So, it is actually giving a compressive power loading. So, here if it is showing that this is a compression, then what is happening, that by this particular process what you are getting this diameter. So, the length of the cutting tool is very large in this case. You see this particular thing, now here the cutting tool is located here, and your wheel is located at this location, and it is rotating in this direction, right. So, the movement of the wheel is in this direction. So, now your tool will be in tension, and here it is in compression, right. So, what is advantage here, that when it is in tension, at that time you will not get this particular feature here, because now the length is an issue, because once you cross one particular part here, when you are machining at this location, at that time strength of this part will be very less, but that is not going to happen here, because the compressive strength is all higher than the tensile strength. So, that is the advantage, that when you do cutting or the fabrication of the cutting tool in a compressive manner, or the in the direction of the compressive forces, then you will end up with the higher cutting or the higher length of the cutting tool, but that is not happening at this particular location. So, it is better that every time when you give a feed direction and everything, it is better to go in the same way, the way we are doing a turning operation. We do not give the turning operation depth something like this, right, because we always go with the this way, because our material support is very high at this location, and that is the advantage of going with a compressive loading instead of a tensile loading, right. So, higher compressive strength than the tensile strength. So, that is the advantage of using these things. So, once you get this particular tool, then what happens, that you can do many things here, that you create some type of slot here, and that particular that means that you are cutting something half portion of this. So, if you see from this direction, then what we are looking at, we are doing something like this, or if you want something, you can create some square type of tools, that you remove material from all the four sides, whatever you are getting that additional circle part, this part, remove them, then you can get the square type. So, this is very primitive, because if you see this is a 50 micron, the tool diameter is not more than 20 micron or something. So, this way you can make the cutting tool much easier way compared to the grinding without any tool vibration or ultrasonic vibration. So, let me stop it here, and we will continue this talk further in the next class. Thank you very much.